The Army is very proud of the new American city they've built to practice martial law. The government really can do something quickly. They built this 300-acre city in just 2 years. Compare that to how long they take in your city just to build a road. But then they did have $96 million of your tax money to play with.
To transition from an army of execution, doing what we've got to do, to an army of preparation to be ready for what comes next. This is a place where we can be creative and you can come up with solutions for problems that we don't even know we have yet.
The public may not know the problem yet because they haven't yet executed the false flag event that they'll use to openly activate martial law, but the military has been creating scenarios where they can justify a move against small-town America for quite some time. And they've made it clear that their enemy is gun owners, veterans, those who want a small limited government, and Christians. The UK Telegraph reported that the town was complete with a subway, railroad, football field, and mosque. Mosque? That's not a mosque. That's a small-town Christian church with a steeple and Gothic windows. Mosques have minarets, rounded arches, etc. It's not that they've kept the current military's attitude toward Christians a secret either. It was the U.S. Army that conflated the Ku Klux Klan with mainstream Christian groups like the American Family Association or the Family Research Council, calling these mainstream evangelical groups hate groups. In just the last year, an official Army email and briefings at both Fort Hood, Texas and Camp Shelby, Mississippi attacked Christian groups and said they don't share Army values. Most recently, we've seen a FOIA request that showed last year's training scenario in Ohio identified gun owners and people who believe in limited government as the enemy.
Latest article that I'm going to be covering in more detail this Sunday with Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs and David Knight in studio to not just talk about what happened to them in Virginia going to Fort A.P. Hill and getting arrested, but that the federal government run by the globalists is openly training under NLEO 9 14 different foreign nations to invade and occupy the U.S. So I'm going to have NLEO 9 added to this latest article as well. Because what Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com do that other news organizations don't is I don't like articles just on one subject. I like articles that by the bottom tie it together with the larger image of what's going on. And it's sensational that we've gotten these secret Marine Corps documents confirmed that they're training to take on basically everybody's granddaddy, anybody who's independent in a rural area. Globalist always, or any takeover group, takes over the cities first, then the suburbs, then the small towns, then the rural areas. And they fan out to subdue and dominate. And the entire Pentagon program, the Emergency Centers Establishment Act, the Rural Affairs Commission that is under the Pentagon and Homeland Security is putting plainclothes troops in every town and city, literally spying on people, and then bringing in Agenda 21 federal money to buy off the town leadership. And they are training to take on small towns everywhere because they know when they order the gun confiscation, when they order the 80% taxation, when they order this, they're going to take over the town centers and control the roads. And that is what is in all of the public documents. So much of this is public, but they don't want us on these bases. They don't want us talking to the Marines because they don't want public awareness to then have a discussion. They want it in Army Times, Stars and Stripes going, yeah, the Army's training to take on domestic groups. They think the Tea Party's the main enemy now. It's good. Or to have the C-SPAN have a general on to talk about it. So at one level, they admit it to soften us up and get us ready. And so the troops all hear it and go, well, it must be okay. I mean, you know, it's in Stars and Stripes. It's in the Army Times. But for the general public, oh, there's no militarization of police. There's no armored vehicles getting deployed to every town. There's no weapons caches and helicopters getting put in. Oh, no. Or like, oh, here's an official Homeland Security document saying it's gun owners, returning veterans, and Christians are the main enemy. And at first they said, oh, that document's not real. And later they went, no, it's real. And you watch. It is going to be gun owners and rural groups and veterans. They are the terrorists. So this is the giant buildup for war with the American people. Leaked documents reveal Marine Corps Urban Training Center based on U.S. town. Whistleblower says facility with Baptist church, farmhouses used to train foreign and domestic groups. Newly leaked Marine Corps documents detail yet another military urban training center that more closely resembles a small U.S. town than a foreign combat zone. And again, when they admit Northcom is for the American people, folks go, okay, it's in the document, big deal. But when you see the town, it brings it home. The document entitled Military Operations on Urban Terrain Collective Training Facility details the specifics of a mock 30-acre town located at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Originally built in 1990, new additions to the facility include Baptist church, a police station, several farmhouses have transformed the layout of the once international town. Yeah, part of it looks European. According to the military whistleblower provided the documents to InfoWars, U.S. Marines at the facility have been tasked with training soldiers, law enforcement agencies, and Homeland Security. Yeah, look, they're all buying weapons and bullets and training for us in skills such as fighting in wooded areas, urban patrolling, forcible entry, and night fighting techniques. The facility is also being used to cross-train foreign troops from the United Nations. By the way, folks, if this all goes down, you don't go out and night fight the Marines. The veterans are going to go find you at your houses and in the bars and on the streets.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
But are we going to wait till the globalists stage a terror attack and blame it on domestic groups? I don't want a civil war in this country, but we the people, not Alex Jones, but we the people, if attacked by the globalists, if a total authoritarian system unfolds and they try to arrest anybody that doesn't believe in man-made global warming or arrest anybody that doesn't want their kids taught how to be, sexualized, or anybody who doesn't want to be inoculated, or anybody that doesn't want their 11-year-old daughter taken away to have an abortion. It's going to cause a civil war because the globalists want that civil war. I'm trying to avert that by exposing that the Army and the Marines and the National Guard are training to cordon cities, are training to confiscate guns, are training to arrest political dissidents, are training for a takeover and admitting that their new enemy isn't al-Qaeda, that the corrupt federal government openly funds and runs. That's mainstream news now. I can't even believe that's mainstream news. They're now flipping it onto us. And I know I harp on this because it's happening. And if we expose it, it can be stopped. If we don't, they're going to bring it in and drop the hammer.
So And the thing is, just back in the end of March, if you remember, there was that press conference where they had the guy from Europe, and he's talking to Putin, and he's saying that the NATO missiles that are pointed at Russia, he said that's really against Iran and not Russia. And remember, Putin started laughing at him, hysterically. If we had Saddam Hussein, for example, training with airplanes, with commercial airplane hulks, had guys training to take them over, what would we think? Do we think that he's training to take over airplanes and attack America as a terrorist? What if Russia had an American city down to every detail?
We would freak out.
Training, yeah, or China, and they were running through there. We would think, wow, this is a prelude to invasion. Why isn't it a prelude to invasion when our own military is doing it, and when they do it over and over again in all these cities, from L.A. to Chicago?
To condition people.
Exactly. Exactly. So they're doing it even more. And on Friday, we had the story from Mikhail Thalen about the Marines doing the same thing. This time, there is no mosque in Camp Lejeune. There's a Christian church, and there's farm buildings that they've added to make it more American. And that's what we saw there. We stood at the corner of First and Main Street, and I took Joe Biggs' picture as the security guard who let us in was driving by and watching us. I'm taking his picture there at the corner of First and Main with newspaper stands in the background and phone booths and all the kind of stuff that you would typically see.
And we've got the HD video that you guys got posted right now on this Sunday edition at Infowars.com. And we've got this segment and 2 more coming up to break down what happened to you, but also overall what this means, because we have the articles in Forbes, you name it, training to crush the Tea Party, the military's new mission. I mean, this should be the biggest debate in the country right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing to see this going on. And, of course, they don't want to talk to anybody about this. If they would talk to people about it, and I want to give her the opportunity to make your best case that this really isn't against the American people. I mean, we've seen it over and over again. We see.
And by the way, we called for 3-4 months since February to try to talk, sent letters, everything, trying to go as real media and investigate this. And finally, you guys get arrested for 3 hours for going to do it because you're the enemy. I mean, they've been training to fight veterans. Returning veterans is the #1 enemy they train to fight. So, Joe, you're the enemy showing up.
Well, Asymmetric Warfare Group put out a document saying that any soldiers that don't support Agenda 21 are considered to be extremists, and points to look at for in a soldier like patterns and behavior, buying weapons and distancing themselves from the brass, the top brass, is considered an extremist movement and to be watched and flagged.
Is this not just a collaborator globalist movement that sees control of the whole infrastructure and is now saying anybody that doesn't accept the takeover, Tea Party, evangelical Christians, libertarians, we're terrorists? That right there tells us, David, this is an occupied government.
Well, when you watch this conference that they had 8 years ago, everything that the Center for Asymmetric Warfare is about is, of course, warfare. It's warfare against what they call insurgents, which would be people who are rebelling against what they want to do. And they're saying that this is not religiously motivated. It's motivated by people who see their resources being taken away, who are being dominated, who have no self-determination, who've had their dignity taken away.
Slaves.
Exactly. And so what do we see in America? We see them coming in and taking our dignity away. They're taking our private property away. And they understand that this is politically motivated. They understand that people will rise up in rebellion when they see that happen if that can't be stopped. And so instead of correcting the problem, they're doubling down to fight us. And that's what the insurgency is about.